Oh, welcome to MTG Friends. This is day 2 of spoilers for Zendikar Rising. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Zach.
And here we go. We're just going to jump right in.
All
Anything before these cards that you want to talk about?
Nope, just day 2. We kind of confirmed a couple cycles of cards, and that's cool, but that's really about it.
So here we go. First up is Amaris Call. It is a flip card, and you thought this one looked pretty fantastic.
Yes. While the front side is a 7-mana sorcery, it makes you 2 4/4 white angel warrior creature tokens with flying, and your non-angels gain indestructible until your next turn. So this is one of those cards that I think will find a home in control shells and in white weenie sort of shells. And the reason I think this will find a home in white weenie shells is the fact that the backside of this, the other mode that you can cast while play it for, is a land. And not only is it a land, but it actually has the ability to enter the battlefield untapped, like the rest of this cycle we've seen so far.
Oh, it's not a shock land. It's a
bolt
land.
I know. I wish it had double colors on it, but even the fact that, in a mono white deck, you don't want that other color anyway. So you just have a lot of flexibility with this card. You draw it early, you have the life. I mean, and white gains life so easily. This is one of those cards where you can just drop it right onto the battlefield, almost as a plains. And if you have the mana and you're late in the game and you're really grinding it out, you can make 2 4/4 flyers. 2 4/4 flyers and give all your dudes indestructible for an entire turn cycle.
Yeah, and
I think this card's super sick.
And I hope we're the ones that coined Bolt Land, because that would be super cool.
Oh yeah.
I have a feeling we haven't, but
I doubt it, but still.
There you go. All right.
Yep.
So next up is Tangled Fluorahedron, which is also a flip card with the other side Tangled Veil. This one is interesting, I thought, because it's a 2-drop 1/1, where of course then you have mana ramp like green always does, with turn for 1. But then on the flip side, Tangled Veil enters the battlefield tapped for green, so you can choose.
Yeah. It's interesting, like when you want that mana ramp versus when you don't.
Absolutely.
And this also confirmed one of the cycles, as I mentioned. We now know of at least 3 in each color of front cards and then tap lands on the back. We now know of an instant, a creature, and a sorcery appears to be in each color, which is pretty cool.
Yep, pretty cool.
So, yeah, very eager to see the rest of these cards in this cycle, but just one of those uncommons. Nothing particularly special, though.
But still interesting with that same mechanic. So next is Soul Shatter. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest converted mana cost among creatures and planeswalkers they control for 3.
Yeah.
And it's an instant. This seems pretty decent to me.
Yeah. 3 mana removal. It's fine already. But the fact that it gets around your indestructibilities and your hex proofs and what have you, it's great. There's no targeting here, and so it really just says, okay, what's your biggest thing?
And it goes.
Bye. And it's also each opponent, not even each player. So this is a card that expands in Commander really nicely and never hits you.
Yeah.
Great card.
Very cool. Roiling Vortex for 2. I read
1 in a red.
I read this a couple times, and I wasn't super excited about this. Is there something you see in this card that makes you go, oh, it would fit in such and such a deck?
So it kind of interests me. I think that this is one of those cards that kind of has a home in mono red and Gruul decks. Just that kind of endless pinging. Don't forget that we're in a standard environment where red plays Torbrand, Thane of Red Fell, which increases your damage from red sources by 2 to each opponent. So this suddenly becomes completely asymmetrical when you're taking 1 damage a turn and your opponent's taking a 3 ping.
That's true.
And you can play 4 of these, so suddenly there's 12 damage every single turn. Your opponent's going to die real quick.
Yeah, so
additionally, it's just punishing people that are making use of free spells.
True.
There's a couple free spell mechanics in this very set.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty nice.
So at very least, it would be a sideboard, is what you're thinking.
Yeah. I think the most important part of this spell actually is the pay a red, your opponents can't gain life this turn at the very bottom there. Super cheap cost, just a single red mana to do it, and you can do it in response to your opponent trying to gain life.
Okay.
So Suddenly, decks like Veto, Thorn of Dusk Rose in Standard, it's all about life gain, suddenly can't gain any life in order to deal damage to you because you've paid a single red mana.
Yeah, and it's a 2-drop, so you're starting to convince me. You're starting to convince me.
Easy to get out really quickly. I don't think this is going to be like a crazy constructed house or anything, but I agree with you that it's got a lot of sideboard potential.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next up is Coral Helm Chronicler for 3. It's a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. Always got to have those wizards.
Yes, indeed.
Whenever you cast a kicked spell, draw a card, then discard a card. When Coral Helm Chronicler, oh, that's a lot to say, enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a card with a kicker ability from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This seems like a pretty good engine to me in the right deck.
Yeah.
So
I think this is a card that's really begging for a kicker deck around it. And if not, this is going to be one of those cards where you see it in draft, you grab it, and you build a kicker deck because it gives you, card options. You get to draw a card and then discard, so you're looting, you're getting good card selection, and when it enters, you get immediate value by getting to look at 5 cards and find a single card with kicker. And there's a lot of good kicker cards in this set.
Yeah, I think this is a decent one for sure.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next. Tactic, or wait.
This is Practiced
Oh,
Tactics.
that's in a different language. The one I'm reading.
Yep, this is in Spanish or Portuguese, one of the two. I'm not entirely certain, to be honest. Just little draft shaft, 1 and a white, or just a white actually for an instant. Choose target attacking or blocking creature. It deals damage to that creature equal to twice the number of creatures in your party.
Yeah,
so this is just one of those white combat tricks that draft gets, where it can deal damage to something attacking or blocking, but it scales up pretty nicely. It can be up to 8 damage.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not great.
Not bad, not great. Yeah.
Yep. Next one's another one of those modal cards where the front is a sorcery and the back is a land. This one is supposedly translated as Zof's Consumption, whatever Zof is. And it's a sorcery for 4 and 2 black, which is insane for what this does, to be honest. But each opponent loses 4 life and you gain 4 life. It's kind of bad.
Yeah, that's kind of spendy. I mean, it does have the flip.
A lot of mana.
It has the flip for a land, but
yeah, just it tapped black mana. It's
garbage.
The worst of these I've seen so far, I think.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to be too excited to grab that one. Not for 6.
No, I don't either. And then our next one was another foreign card. This one is called supposedly called Spike Field Risks. It's single red mana for an instant. It deals a damage to any target, and if the permanent that was dealt damage this way dies this turn, exile it instead. And then the back half is just a tapped red source.
Yeah, that one doesn't excite me either.
Ooh, I actually am on the opposite page.
This one?
This has me psyched.
All right.
And there is one reason and one reason alone. One of the most played cards in Standard right now is a little guy called Uro, Titan, Nature's Wrath. And as you may recall, you usually cast it and then it sacrifices itself first, right? So you play it, and in response to the sacrifice trigger, you pay a single red, ping it for 1 damage, and bam, it's exiled.
Really?
Yeah, it's never, because it dies. It took that damage. Because it remains on the battlefield until its sacrifice trigger resolves.
That is true. Boy, I didn't pay attention to that one because So
this one's another sideboard card, I think. Until you know you're playing against a ramp deck, this isn't going to be nuts. And red doesn't really want a tap land.
Right.
But when you're in the right deck for it, I mean, that is really powerful. Being able to essentially shut off Uro recurring is genuinely really good.
In sideboarding for red, like I have a mono red aggro deck that I run, being able to take care of Uro would be very beneficial, especially just subbing in a few of these, because red doesn't have any spells that do 6 damage. That will exile that.
At least not good ones.
So
no, and obviously having to pack Graveyard Hate can be a little painful sometimes too. Running a Tormod's Crypt while it's a free spell isn't replacing itself. Soul Guide Lantern's fine, but red doesn't want to be doing that in mono red. And this is the sort of thing mono red absolutely wants to do, because while this isn't usually a kill spell on its own, it is going to provide you a way to get stuff out of the graveyard if you can kill the thing.
Yeah, very specific The Uro thing,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. Oh,
But man, Uro is taking over the format, so it's definitely.
It'll be interesting to see how Uro does now that Nissa has rotated out.
I agree, but at the same time, like we mentioned yesterday, we're gaining Lotus Cobra.
That is true, right?
And I mean, we're in a lands map.
Yeah, and we have
so
Cultivate.
I don't know. I'm a little more worried about him now.
Really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that Nissa Uro combo really was challenging to deal with. All right, Tobarak's Hope's Demise, a 3-drop black, 2/2 legendary creature, demon cleric with flying. Tobarak's Demise has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more 1/1 counters on it. When another non-token creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Tobarak's. If that creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. I like this card. I like these stats.
I love this card. Stats are great. CMC is amazing. Even just for Commander, this card actually has a lot of capabilities for Mono Black. But I think the thing that absolutely makes this card insane for Commander is the simple existence of Shadowborn Apostles.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
The fact that Shadowborn Apostles is 1 black, is a cleric, can have any number of them in your deck, and you sack 6 of them to go hunt down a demon for a single black. That's 6 die triggers for Taborax. So you're going to draw 6 cards, lose 6 life, put 6 1/1 counters on him, and then you still get whatever demon you were getting off your Shadowborn Apostles.
Ooh.
This card is crazy.
I like
good.
how you think, Zach.
And obviously we have a whole cleric theme going on in this set.
Absolutely.
White-black has the whole clerics theme going on, and I think this card is just crazy.
Yeah, now that we've seen this second grouping of cards, I'm starting to see there's going to be a lot of cleric action. I would like to see some cleric standard decks.
We're going to be talking about rogues here in a minute,
Yes,
too, because I think rogues found their deck as
Possibly.
well.
All right, Maul of the Skyclaves. This is a 3-drop with white. When Maul of the Skyclaves enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. So you're skipping the equipment cost when it comes into play.
Yep, because this is an equipment.
Right? An equipped creature gets 2/2 and has flying and for strike. And then, of course, if for some reason you need to re-equip it, it's for 4. I think this card is fantastic.
What a brilliant equipment design. We've seen a couple others like this where they enter and auto-attach themselves.
Embercleave.
Oh my god. What a great way to provide immediate value and dang, those stats are good.
Those stats are very good.
3 mana for 2/2 flying and first strike? Oh my god.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that.
Yeah, I think this has a
Yes,
home.
it does. All right. Dauntless Survivor, 2-drop 1/1.
Draft
chaff. We don't even really need to talk about this one. On to the next one.
We'll move on.
Expedition Skulker, 2-drop 2/2.
Draft 2.0.
Yes. Also.
Yep. It has Death Touch if you control a rogue. There's your rogue tribal.
All right. Umaro Mystic. It is a 1 blue-red creature merfolk wizard. It's interesting to see all these merfolks, especially in Zendikar.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're not going to be seeing any Eldrazi per se, but
no, we've been told we should not see any Eldrazi.
I know. But seeing merfolk, I find it interesting.
Yeah.
Flying.
Yeah. This is one of the few places where merfolk seem to go into red as well. So it's nice to go back here and get some more red merfolk again.
Yeah, because it's typically blue.
Blue, green, occasionally white and black, but Bant is where they tend to find a home, those 3 colors.
Whenever you cast an instant sorcery or wizard spell, Umaro Mystic gets +2/0 until end of turn. Well, of course. It's a 1/3.
This card's nuts! This is the signpost uncommon for wizards, for red, blue.
Yep.
And
the plussing 2 when you do an instant sorcery. We see this over and over and over and over again.
Chandra's Spitfire is currently wrecking house in Standard, and it has a similar effect. This is even more flexible.
Yep.
Grow your board with your wizards, play the instants and sorceries you were already going to play, and this thing is swinging for an absurd amount of damage.
And they just seem to be flying. They're always flying.
Well, and that's what makes it so good, too, is the fact that it's a flyer is what makes this a great card.
Absolutely.
We've seen cards like this in the past, and it will never not be good. Adelies, the Cinderwind out of Dominaria, is a good comparison to this one. She was great then, and this is great now.
Absolutely.
I think this is both. I think if Izzet can do it in Standard, this will be in there. And I think in Draft, this thing's going to be a snap grab.
Oh, yeah. especially if it's in the colors you're forming. Nighthawk Scavenger. It's a 1 black creature vampire rogue, which I'm just gonna say I'm super excited about this card. Flying Death.
This one is going right into Edgar.
Yeah. Oh, this is
actually like my card of the day. This card is insane.
Yeah, these stats: Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's grave. So,
yeah, so it's a 1 plus star 3.
Yeah. So
this is Vampire Nighthawk, but like upgraded.
Yes. And it's just got great stats for a 3-drop.
This has the capability of being up to an 8/3 in standard. And the fact that Rogue, when I mentioned I was going to talk about Rogues in a minute, this is the card that does it. Rogues in blue-black right now seem to be about, coincidentally, kind of just slightly milling your opponents. Mm-hmm. So the fact that this grows from doing that to being such an absolute house, I think this card is an all-star. This card seems insane.
So we may see a blue-black rogue milling,
rogue and mill kind of deck.
Shenanigans. There we go with shenanigans.
Yes.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think this is one of the tops in this set for sure.
I literally wrote a note under it that just this card is effing nuts.
That's what I thought when I read that the first time.
It's a flying Death Touch lifelink sort of Tarmogoyf. Like, this is sick.
And it grows. All right, next one is Swarm Shambler for a 1-drop. Swarm Shambler enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. And then it also has tap for 1, put a 1/1 counter on Swarm Shambler. This thing can definitely just grow throughout the game. Mm-hmm. And it looks benign at first, but I think you and I both know that card is not benign.
No, I think this is one of those cards that will actually find a home in a format more like Pioneer or Historic. This is one of those cards where you want to play it in like a hardened shell, I guess. Anything with your 1/1 counter synergies. I don't think it's like especially insane. I think it's good. It's almost a shame that the tap put a 1/1 counter on it costs 1 rather than just being a tap ability, but right. I really can't complain too much.
So it needs to have a little bit of something.
Yep. But I think the thing that is really important here is that whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it becomes the target, make a 1/1. This is why I think decks like Hardened Shell Hardened Scales, not Hardened Shells. Hardened Scales, Winding Constrictor, like the new Conclave Mentor we just got out of M21. I think these are the sort of decks that are really going to want to use this because they're going to gain extra 1/1 counters. It's just going to keep gaining extra 1/1 counters, and all of your creatures are going to be valid protection targets for Swarm Shambler.
And I really like that artwork. I seem to gravitate towards green artwork.
I have one complaint about this card,
What's
though.
That?
So look at it. Why does it not make a saproling? Why does it make insects?
That is a very
It's mushrooms,
question.
Man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Huh.
Yeah. That's the only thing that upsets me. Like, this is the sort of card where I really...
You're upset when bears aren't bears and when fungi don't make saps or thalids.
Just give me the creature
or thalids or whatever, yeah. All right, Thwart the Grave for 4 and 2 blacks. It's a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. Party mechanic. Return target creature card and up to 1 target cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I think this is a pretty good uncommon. To be able to regenerate for possibly 2 black.
Not just for 2 black, but you get 2 creatures potentially.
I mean,
you get any creature and one of the party members. Like, that's just wicked. And it's not to hand; it's straight to the battlefield.
So worst case scenario is it cost you a couple pips too much. Best case scenario is this thing only cost you 2. I think this is a good card.
I mean, and even at 6 mana, if it doesn't specify CMC, so for 6 mana you could grab 2 pretty beefy cards. This is the sort of card I almost would expect to see in Rogues, going back to the Nighthawk up there, because it provides you a way to return your rogues and any other creatures that coincidentally aren't rogues at the time as well. I think this is real good.
I do too. Agreed. We tend to agree on pretty much everything. Ravagers.
Yeah, it's a good card. We seem to both see it.
Ravager's Mace, 1 black-red artifact equipment. When Ravager's Mace enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature.
There it is again.
Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each creature in your party and has menace. Boy, the auto-attach stuff. Even as an uncommon for 3-drop. I would like to see this as a 2-drop, maybe just a black-red. Yeah. So I think it costs 1 too many.
I'm completely in agreement here. I think the equip cost at 4 is probably fine, since it's got the free equip to it. But this has the potential of just coming in and giving something menace. Right. If you don't have any party creature types on the board, this is 3 mana for menace,
which is not very exciting. But
having the potential of being +4/+0 in menace is definitely a nice ceiling. Yes. But realistically, you can't rely on that at all times, and we do have to evaluate it while it's lower down.
So if I saw this in draft, I think I would pass it.
Unless I was in like a really dedicated party deck, in which case, easy grab. But this isn't something that's going to pull me into party. It's going to be the sort of thing that I'm in party already and I want it.
And I'll be curious to see if this ends up in standard.
Yeah, really depends on how well color balanced party is, I guess. If you can limit party to 2 or 3 colors, and the payoffs are powerful enough, I think it'll be something people are interested in. And I guess I can say the same about the next card too. It's a common removal spell, 5 mana, instant, destroy target creature or planeswalker, but it costs up to 1 less for each creature in your party, so it can be just a single black mana to destroy anything.
Yeah, so it's really party specific.
So, once again, at its cap, when it's down to just a single black mana, this is premium removal in draft. Sure. And at its highest,
it's just regular.
It's 5 mana for removal. Yeah. You'll take it, it's removal, but it's not great.
Right.
So this is one of those cards that has the ceiling of being amazing.
Yep. All right, Prowling Felidar. It's a 4-drop creature cat beast with vigilance and landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Prowling Felidar, and it's a 2/3.
Yep. Draft
that one doesn't speak to me.
Yeah, the CMC is too high for me to really be interested in this
4-drop 2/3. By the time you drop this thing, your landfall isn't going to be really kicking in that great. So, moving on.
Especially not.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is Balaged Recovery and Balaged Sanctuary. It's another modal card. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Or the backside is a tapped green mana source.
Meh.
It's fine.
Next.
It's fine.
Next. Okay.
Next.
Let's see. How you think we should say this? A Koom or a Kaum warrior?
Yeah. A Kaum. We'll go with a Koom because that's easier to say.
I had to do it.
What a draft chaff card.
Yes, draft chaff. Moving on.
Yeah, it's a 4/5 with trample for 6 or a tapped red mana source. It exists. This shouldn't be an uncommon.
Colony Ambush or Colony Territory. Instant, target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Or it's a land. Another one that's just like, meh, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one that I like because it's an instant, but it's almost... It's a mana more than I'd want it to be, but at the cost of it being a flexibility to be a land. I don't think this will see a home in much beyond draft.
And that ambush card art cracks me up. It's like, what?
I know, it's so
what's
good.
happening there? I mean, he's got daggers, but...
No, it's actually super funny if you read the flavor text.
Let's do that.
Difference between life and death in Aura Ondar is about 3 seconds of startled screaming. Slug Eater, Goblin Shortcutter.
Okay, that just got way better.
Basically means he's cutting his way through the brush, and then just this like claw mauler thing just jumps in and eats him alive.
Okay, because of that flavor text, that card just grew on me.
I know, it's hilarious then.
All right, Sugiri Shelter, flip card, Sugiri Glacier. It's a 2... Go ahead.
This is notable. I think this one's great. 1 and a white instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, or it's a tapped white. This is a worst gods willing. Mm-hmm. So I mean, immediately, why am I saying this is notable? because Feather the Redeemed decks have a home in Pioneer. They have a home in Historic. Unfortunately, Feather is rotating out of Standard, but in more Eternal formats, I think this card's actually great because you slot it into Feather as a card that will continually return itself to your hand by being able to protect your stuff. And then, once you finally get your other cards that maybe say draw a card on them, you just play it as a land once you're done with it.
Okay.
It has great flexibility in that regard because it's a good early game protection card, and then once you want to play it as a land, you have the flexibility to do so. Yep. And in Feather, it'll just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back.
Yeah, and those Feather decks are obnoxious to play against.
Yes, they are. Great decks.
Yes, they are. I just don't gravitate towards those types of decks.
I understand.
Yes. All right, Seafloor Stalker for 3 blue.
Yep, another draft chaff card, unfortunately.
Yep. So...
it's party focused, and it just has a really expensive activated ability that gets reduced by creatures in your party to grow itself and make it unblockable.
Yep, and a 2/3/3 drop is.
Yep. Yeah, not great.
All right. Next, Ardent.
Next one's interesting-ish, but it's another draft chaffy kind of card, but it has the potential of coming down as a 3-drop and giving you 4 red mana, so that's cool, I guess. But again, one of those cards that I think Wizards in Draft will like this, because you at least get a little bit of mana back and then can cast some spells. Party thinks this is fine, but I don't think this will ever find a home outside of Draft.
Agreed. Kite Sail Cleric for 1. It's a 1/1 with a kicker of 3. Oh, and flying. When Kite Sail Cleric enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, tap up to 2 target creatures. I don't know. 1/1 for 4.
1/1 flyer for 1. Nice. 1/1 flyer for 4.
Not nice.
Less nice, but it taps down 2 things.
So
I think the flavor text sums this card up very well. Too flashy to ignore, but too fast to catch. I don't think it gets there, but I think in Draft again this will be a nice way for White to finish things off.
Yeah, this would be fine in Draft if you're running a flyer. If you create a flyer deck for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
On to the next. Core Blade Master. I just like that name. It's a 2-drop in white. It's a 1/1 double striker. Equipped warriors you control have double strike. Ooh, I like it.
This is cool.
Yes. Me likey.
Yeah, I mean a 2-drop double striker for a 1/1 double striker is fine as is, but we've seen a couple real good equipments so far, and that static ability is actually fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
This will be like Boros Warriors, and I think this is great.
Yep.
Like that's scary.
Yeah, that's a strong uncommon for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm digging that artwork. Man, the Zendikar backgrounds are just so groovy, man. All right, Subtle Strike for 2 in black. It's an instant. Choose one or both. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, or put a 1/1 counter on target creature. I'm so not impressed with this card.
It's a draft card. 1/1 counters is an archetype.
Yeah,
so
and
it exists.
It exists. Moving on.
Yep.
Utility Knife for 1. Artifact equipment. When it Utility Knife enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Boy, they really are going strong with these. This attach.
I actually think every equipment in this set has that mechanic on it.
That makes equipment so much more playable.
I'm actually surprised they didn't keyword that.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially if it's something that they're going to have on a theme across every equipment in the set, that actually would have been a very handy thing to just shortcut with a keyword use in the future. Yeah. Maybe they just don't plan on doing that very often, so they didn't think it was worth the keyword. But, I mean, we've seen it on 3 cards already today. Yeah. I think that would have been an easy keyword.
Well, in Embercleave, I'm running in my mono red, and just being able to attach it right off the cuff is game winner, usually.
Wildly good card.
Disgusting. That is a wildly good card, yes. Tormenting Voice for 2 with a red in it. As an additional cost to cast the spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards.
Yep, this is a big reprint. It's been around a lot. But I'm actually almost sad to see this card because we've been getting Thrill of Possibility for the past couple of sets, which is an instant version of this.
It's better.
So, yeah, I mean, it's at instant speed. It's better than this, but it's back.
Yes, it is. All right, Hagra Constrictor or Hagra Constrictor. 2
Yep.
and a black creature snake. Oh, that is just mean looking.
The art is
Ooh, yeah,
amazing.
that is something.
Simon Dominic, you killed it with this. This is beautiful.
Highgrip Constrictor enters the battlefield with 2/1/1 counters on it. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has menace. I like this card.
Yeah.
It's great. It's 3, which makes it a common or an uncommon.
3 mana for a 2/2. It's a common, but the static ability again is really nice.
So I give thumbs up to that one. Risen Riptide for 2 and 1 blue. Creature elemental, 0/5. When you cast a kicked spell, Riptide has base power and toughness of 5/5 until end of turn. I can see if you're running blue.
Yeah, I really want to like this card.
I mean, I could see how you get it out early on turn 3. It's a blocker, a decent blocker, and then it just starts getting better and better depending on what you draft.
Yeah. It's giving me some serious Reptilian Reflection from Ikoria vibes, which is the one whenever you cycle, it becomes a 5/4 dinosaur with trample and haste.
I can't.
My problem with this one, of course, is that it doesn't have any keywords on it other than just becoming a 5/5, and kicked spells make things more expensive, while cycling is usually cheaper than the base card.
Yeah, so I think this thing needed to.
Cool for draft.
I think this thing needed to be like a 1/5. Or maybe a 2/5.
I think this just needed to be a 2-drop.
2-drop? Yeah. 2-drop, 0/5. Or else a 3-drop, 1/5, maybe 2/5.
Yeah. Because I feel like the first time you're probably going to be able to start kicking spells in Zendikar is probably going to be around turn 3 or 4. So getting this out there, turn 2 to be able to kick a spell turn 3 and have a 5/5, that just feels a lot more manageable. In my opinion.
Yep.
I'm trying to find some examples of cards that can be kicked that early, and I'm having trouble. But either way, I don't really think this is one of those cards that's quite gonna get there.
It almost has crab status. Although a couple crabs in this one are good, so I shouldn't say crab status.
Yeah.
Gold.
You're not wrong.
Goldraw's Mucklord. Creature.
This one's some strong draft chaff.
Yeah, when Goldraw's Mucklord dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It's a 3-drop, 2/3. Yeah.
Bye, Crocodile.
Yes. Bye. All right. Rabid Bite for 2. Sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Yeah.
Yep. Reprint. It's back.
Field research.
Once again, a little disappointed by this one because we've had some instant speed variants on this. With like Ikoria and stuff at the same mana cost, actually. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the green one that essentially gave your if your creature had trample, the power it dealt also trampled over to the opponent at instant speed for 2 mana. So this is just such a step down from that.
Yeah.
Always nice to have in draft.
Yep. All right. Field research for 3 and blue. Kicker 3. Draw 2 cards. If this spell was kicked, draw 3 cards. 3 for... Wow, that's a lot for...
3 for 6 or 2 for 3.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards where it's like, I got extra mana laying around, I'll do it. But I don't usually like draw spells that are that expensive because you then want to, use the cards you just drew.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If this is the only card in my hand, I'll probably pay the kicker cost, but that would require me to take it first.
Yes. Moving on. Brushfire Elemental, red-green. Creature Elemental, 1/1 with haste. Brushfire Elemental can't be blocked by creature with power 2 or less. And when landfall hits, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, Brushfire Elemental gets 2/2 until end of turn. I actually like this card, and the reason I like this card is because in landfall, as we know, it triggers each time a land hits. So this thing has the possibility of becoming very beefy.
It's a shame it doesn't stay beefy, but even so, I mean, this is a 2-drop with haste, so right away you play it on turn 2. Your opponent probably doesn't have a creature with greater than power 2, so you're getting a free damage in then. And then next turn suddenly you've got a 3/3 or bigger rushing at their face.
Yes. And this is very stereotypical of red-green, where you get stompy, hasty, I'm going to kill you before you get all your really good stuff out.
Yeah, this is going to be good for
Yeah,
Gruul
so
aggro, I think.
I really like this Gruul aggro stuff
too.
going on. So thumbs up to that one. Teeter Peak Ambusher for 2 goblins. The goblins always look so goofy, man.
I know, especially on Zendikar, they've got that like rocky look to
They
them.
just always look like I'm going to commit heinous acts, but I'm going to die in the process.
I love the flavor text on this one. Goblins from the McKindy Trenches of Andu make surprisingly skilled climbing guides due to their habit of scaling the cliffs to drop onto unsuspecting foes. The only reason they're good at climbing cliffs is because they like to jump off and wedge their weapon into somebody's head.
A 2-drop 1/3 with a 3 uptick to give it a +2. I'm not super excited about those stats.
No. Again, this is just kind of a draft card to fill out your party.
Yep. McKindy Ox for 5 in white. Landfall whenever a land enters battlefield under your control. Tap target creature an opponent controls, and it's a 4/4. I'm not excited with that stat.
Nope, me either.
Right, moving on.
Resolute Strike. It's an instant for 1 white. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a warrior, you may attach an equipment you control to it. Huh. I really like this.
Target creature gets 2.
It kind of reads as draft shaft at first, but like if Boros aggro equipment become a thing, this lets you move your Embercleave around.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, your Embercleave's out. Let's say your opponent blocks the creature you have Embercleave on and leaves just a random warrior unblocked. You cast this for a single white on your dude who happens to be a warrior, suddenly gets +2/+2. You move your Embercleave over to it, and suddenly now it's getting a total of +3/+3 and double strike.
And you can have most of your mana tapped so they don't see it coming.
Exactly. I think this one's actually real decent.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one's a good one.
Now we have something to talk about.
Shia Soul of the Wild for 3 green legendary creature elemental. Shia Soul of the Wild's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. There's some good stuff going on there.
This is cool in standard. This is cool in eternal formats. Yeah. But not only is this good in EDH, but I actually think this will get played in like the competitive EDH levels, like the very top levels. Mm-hmm. While 5 mana is a lot, this essentially protects your creatures from a number of huge like board affecting spells. Mm-hmm. Your creatures, with the Shia out, aren't affected by Cyclonic Rift. And in Commander, that card is a massive blue staple.
Yes, it is.
And every single one of your creatures can now tap for mana. A Shia gets bigger and bigger every time you play a creature, every time you play a land. Oh, just what a cool card. Oh, and then let's not forget as well, every single creature you play triggers landfall.
Yes. Including
their own landfall abilities. If you play a creature that has landfall and you have a Shia out, it triggers its own landfall.
Yeah, this thing is strong. This is going to be one of the big ones.
What a cool card.
Yeah, cool art.
I love this.
Agreed. This one is fantastic. All right, Sneaking Guide for 1. Creature Goblin Rogue 1/1. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's a way to sneak some power 2 dudes in. Nobody cares. Draft chat.
Grotag Night Runner for 3. Whenever Grotag Night Runner deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And it's a 2/3. That's decent. Yeah.
This is what they've been calling impulsive draw for red. You basically you draw a card, but you get a limited amount of time to do it. I'd be more excited about this card if it had either haste or trample. And having neither of those doesn't really tickle me at all.
Doesn't tickle your fancy?
No.
Right. Well, let's see if this next one does.
I think it needs a better way to connect.
Okay.
Really.
You're not feeling connected.
No, I'm not.
All right.
We're not getting there.
Kaza Royal Chaser, blue-red. Legendary creature, human wizard, flying haste with tap. The next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of wizards you control as this ability resolves.
And it's a 1/2.
I like this card.
Yeah.
I like this a lot.
I think this is great. The fact you can drop it and immediately tap it as well is great.
Yes.
This is cool.
Yeah, this has some potential for sure.
I don't know if this will end up as like a commander that a lot of people play, but I think this will end up in wizard tribal decks as a really important really important mana reducer.
Absolutely. For
Super.
sure. All right, next is Demon's Disciple Black. 2 and 1 black. When Demon Disciple enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Oh, that's always nasty to do to people. It's a 3/1 human cleric. I like this card.
Important. Yeah. What I like especially about this is, for one, it names Taborax in the flavor text, which really keys you into what you're supposed to do with this. Put Taborax out, play this, and then sacrifice itself to its own ability in order to draw the card and put a counter on Taborax.
Yes. So
they know what they're doing.
It's good stuff right there. Anticognition. 1 blue. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 2. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, instead counter that spell. Then scry 2. So it's got some room to be more powerful with the graveyard play. For a 2-drop, I think this is decent.
I think it's fine. It requires standard to not have good 2-drop or 2-cost counter spells, but because it only targets creatures or planeswalkers. But if you're playing like Rogue Mill, I actually think it's pretty good. I don't think it's great, but again, it's one of those cards where, like, at its base, it's not great, but if you meet the requirements, this card is actually very powerful.
Yep. If you're doing blue-black and you know that there's going to be stuff in their grave, then this becomes way better than on the face of it, for sure.
Absolutely agree.
All right. Concordant Spell. It's an instant, deals 4 damage to target creature and deals X damage to that creature's controller, where X is equal to the number of creatures in your party. It's for 5. I'm not excited about this.
Nope. This is party draft.
Move.
Cool. And then our next one is a reprint of Into the Royal, which is a 1 in a blue instant, return target creature to opponent's hand, and there's a kicker of 1 in a blue that also lets you draw a card if you kick it.
So I like this. It's a more expensive unsummon, but it actually identical to the card Blink of an Eye from Dominaria as well. Yep. More expensive unsummon with the fact that if you have the extra mana, you get to draw a card too. It's nice. Draw is good. Draw is good. Unless you're being milled, then draw is bad.
Yes, indeed.
Umaro Wizard. Or, flip card, Umaro Skyfall. So this is here another one. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, Umaro Wizard gains flying until end of turn. It's a 5-drop, 4/3. Those stats are not good.
Nope.
This card is not good, if you ask me.
No.
So.
This is also just one of those really bad creatures. Not as bad as the, what was it, a 5-drop for the 4/3 or 5/4 with trample, 6-drop, but still pretty weak.
Yeah, when I read a card like this, I go, oh, you guys ran out of ideas for these flip land things. you should have come up with something else.
No, I think realistically, it's not even about running out of ideas. It's just about trying to balance the options, the power options of the fact that you have either a creature or a land. Right. Because that is, in itself, fairly powerful.
Yes.
If you're at a board state where you don't want a creature, but you do want to trigger landfall, that's a big option that offers a lot of power. And so that has to be traded off somewhere.
Yeah,
and I think the weakness of the creature is
I think this wizard would be more playable if it was 4. If it was a 3 and then 1 blue with the same stats, and I think it would still be just decent.
Honestly, I'd be fine with this as a 4-drop as a 3/3.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess if you're at a point in the game where you need a flyer, your opponent doesn't have a flyer, and you want to just start beating, and you have the ability to cast instant sorceries and wizards.
For sure.
It's fine. Usually, at least in blue, their flyers are a little overcosted to get to where you want to be. Where when you go Azorius, suddenly they start becoming a little more reasonable. But it's fine. It's another part of this cycle.
Yep. The cycle of life. Okay. Skyclave Apparition. 1 white creature core spirit. When Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target land, non-token, permanent you don't control with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Skyclave Apparition leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner Creates an XX blue illusion creature token where X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card for 2/2. Now that's a lot of text, but I like this card.
I like this card for a lot of reasons.
I mean, one reason I like it is because what you exile doesn't actually come back.
Yeah, exactly. That 4-drop could be, or that 2-drop could be a Fiend
Yeah,
Artisan,
it could be something just
which is massive
heinous.
rampaging your board. Yeah. It's a shame Krasis is rotating out as this comes in, because Hydroid Krasis is a 2-drop, technically. Yes. Super cool. But the thing I actually like about this the most is you can actually get around the when it leaves create an XX thing.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for that is because of how these abilities technically trigger. There is Oblivion Ring, which has a similar templating to this, where it's 2 separate effects on the card, so they don't bleed into each other, which means that you can actually respond to its enter the battlefield trigger by flickering this.
Ah, yes.
And we have Flicker of Fate out of Theros for 2 mana. Right. I'm not actually sure we have another card that has a quick flicker like that. Yeah, as far as I can tell, in Future Standard, we only have Flicker of Fate. But Flicker of Fate is exile target creature enchantment, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So if you have 5 mana, you drop the Apparition, you target something. With that ability on the stack, you flicker the Skyclave Apparition, and
which means it didn't have
the
a target.
triggered ability does not happen. The leaves, because the enter hasn't happened yet. So you're actually going to get rid of that thing.
And then it's going to come back in, and you can target something else.
And Skyclave Apparition is going to come back in, you get to exile a second thing, and then only that thing has a Skyclave Apparition still attached to it. So by being able to flicker this, I think you get a lot of 2-for-1s. More importantly, Eternal formats have ways to do this much more easily. And Spirits has been a deck in both Pioneer and in Modern. And this is a Spirit.
Yeah, so we could definitely see some play in those.
Yeah.
So I think that's not the last we've seen of that, even after it. I don't know if we're going to see that in Standard, but yeah, definitely in the other formats.
I don't know. I think it's decent enough in Standard too, but I don't know if it's quite there. We have okay removal in Standard, and I think White would appreciate this. We'll see.
I think it should have been a 2/3 though, for 3.
Yeah, I do too, but I think they were trying to protect against how good Spirits are in Eternal formats right now. But it's good removal. Stapled into a creature as well, which is always appreciated.
Yeah, then we got this next one. Hellhound of Akum Elemental Dog with landfall, gets 2/2 until end of turn.
It's a card called Step Links, but shifted into red.
Yep. It's not good, so let's move on.
Nope. I have added 2 more cards here. These were actually spoiled a couple of days ago. These were like the initial Zendikar previews. But they're the other 2 Planeswalkers from the set, so I figured maybe they're worth talking about.
Absolutely. Jace Mirror Mage for 3, 1 blue, legendary Planeswalker. Jaces are always good. It comes on with 4. It's got kicker 2. When Jace Mirror Mage enters the battlefield, if Jace was kicked, create a token that's a copy of Jace Mirror Mage, except it's not legendary and its starting loyalty is 1. That is just sick stats. +1, scry 2, and then for 0, draw a card and reveal it. Remove a number of loyalty counters equal to that card's converted mana cost from Jace Mirror Mage. I like this.
I do too, and I like it specifically because of the amount of options this gives you.
That's
super creative. You can do something as simple as enter it and kick it. You get 2 Jaces, and then you can scry 2 and see if you want to sacrifice your token copy in order to draw whatever that card is, or if it's a land, draw it for free. Or you can double scry, or you can even double draw blindly.
Yeah.
You have so many options, and you don't even have to kick it, obviously. It's a 3-drop that comes in at 4 loyalty going up to 5 right away.
Now, if you had I would say that if you had something in the form of like doubling season, not that you'd necessarily be running Simic with this, but if you had doubling season, then you would get 2 of those. mirror mages.
Yes, you would get 2 non-legendary Jaces, and they would both come in with 2 loyalty each as well. And this would come in with 8 loyalty.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this card is super creative. Definitely one of the most interesting, weird planeswalkers we've seen in a long time.
I think some serious jank could happen with this.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting some good like Ixalan Jace vibes from this, but just much more interesting. Yeah. Love it. All right,
Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, 2 red, 2 red-white, legendary planeswalker Nahiri. Drops with 4.
4 starting loyalty again, yeah.
Create a 1/1 white core warrior creature token. You may attach an equipment you control to it, and that's for a +1. Wow, so you attach an equipment for nothing.
I just want to be honest, though. Wizards, I'm angry at you for this card.
Why is that?
I am, because Colossus Hammer rotates out when this card releases. Oh. I'm so sad.
Oh, yeah, Colossus Hammer would be fabulous with this.
I'm just...
Yeah, because that costs 8, doesn't it? Doesn't that cost 8?
No, it costs 1, but the equip cost is 8.
Right. You know what I meant.
So you play that, you get Nahiri out, you make your 1/1, and now you've suddenly got a massive core.
Suddenly we see people running 4.
But it rotates, and we don't get to play with these together.
Oh man, that would be some serious jank. Yes. Let's see. The -2. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a warrior or equipment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. Whew, man. So is Embercleave rotating out?
Nope.
So it's got red pip in there, so we could see some Embercleave shenanigans going on with this.
Yeah. This card is another reason I was talking about, basically like a Boros Warriors equipment deck.
Yeah, for sure.
And that -3 is great too.
The Heir of the Ancients deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to twice the number of equipments you control. Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that it's not twice the number of warriors and equipments you control, but it's only -3. Like,
and it's 4-drop, so 4 is good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's day 2 of our spoilers and our review of what cards we think are great, what cards we're going to see. We're going to be doing this all over again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit subscribe.
Last second spoiler just slid in about 10 minutes ago. If you want me to read this one off. Just saw it. I figured I'd check. It's called Lol Mage's Dominance. Okay. It is a sorcery for X blue. And it costs 3 less if you target a creature whose controller has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X.
Okay. All right.
I think it's pretty good.
That sounds good. Is the artwork good?
Yeah, art's beautiful. I'll put this on this document that we have together so you can have a look at it. It's just in Portuguese, I believe.
Okay. I'll put it up.
But it's cute. I like it. It goes really well in the blue-black rogues again. Drown in the Lock is going to be great in that deck as well. I think this is a good late game card for those decks. This is cool. And getting 3 free mana off of 3 free X off of it is really nice. Once you've milled your opponent enough.
Mill.
Good card.
All right, well, be a friend of the gathering. Hit subscribe. Put in some comments, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.